How's it going, guys, and welcome to another entry in our Community Cast series. In this match, we're going to have a showdown between the Gobbo King as the Greenskins led by HOG, and he's going to be facing off against Migsa, who's going to be playing the High Elves led by Tyrion. So guys, let's jump right into this match and take a look at some of these builds. So for the Gobbo King, he does indeed have a fairly diversified front line. You can see, of course, he has some goblins out here on the far side. What Gobbo King build would be complete without goblins? And the goblins, all jokes aside, are actually not bad in this matchup. They do have silver shields, so if you're facing off against a build that's very missile heavy, you have Lothran Seaguard, archers, that kind of stuff, you can actually send in the goblins ahead of your main formation, and then the enemy AI is going to waste a lot of arrows on these goblins. But on top of that, you basically use them to kind of, block up dragon princes and just take an absolute beating from, cav and shock infantry troops. So aside from that, the Gobbo King does have a couple groups of Black Orcs. I think he has 1, 2, 3. And these guys are definitely going to be the bread and butter in this matchup. Black Orcs are definitely one of the best, great weapon troops in the game. They have 50 weapon strength, which is just huge. And when you compare that to like White Lions, they have 34. And I'm not sure if he has any Swordmasters of Hoth. I don't think he does. But the Black Orcs really shine. They're heavily armored with 110 armor. So against High Elf Archers and Lothran Seaguard, who don't have the best armor piercing damage, these guys are just going to be MVPs. They do also have immunity to psychology, which is really important in this matchup. And that also kind of segues me into my next point, and the reason why the Gobbo King is so wide. So when you're facing off against, not dragon princes, but the star dragons, and, phoenixes and things like that that are really good at isolating and destroying single target expensive units, it's very important to go wide so you don't lose all of your resources in one fell swoop. As such, you can see the Gobbo King does have Black Orcs, he has some Orc Boys as filler units, he has some Goblins, and in the back he does also have a couple groups of the Savage Orc Biggins. So this is definitely a cool pick. These guys aren't going to be particularly great against like traditional High Elf infantry because they don't have the best armor piercing values. I guess 13 isn't terrible, but proportionally speaking, it's not very good. But they do have really nice bonus first large, and they are immune to psychology while their frenzy is active. So if they're chasing down phoenixes and star dragons, I think phoenixes only have like 30 to 50 armor, and then star dragons I think have 80. So if the star dragon's in your back line going after your archers, you can actually use these guys to help out. And even against cav like dragon princes, that bonus first large is going to help. So aside from that, he does have that wide front line, and also something else I want to mention about Black Orcs that makes them so good is the fact that they're immune to psychology. For the same reason, the Savage Orcs were good. They're not going to get terror routed by Star Dragons and Phoenixes. So Orc Boys here in the front, they're going to be taking some of that arrow fire, which is really good. They have shields, and it looks like the Gobbo King does also have some Orc Boar Boy Biggins here, so they're going to get a great charge on these Silver Helms. And I think he has one group of those, some Goblin Wolf Riders, as well as the Death Creepers and the Morgulf's Mangy Marauder. So this synergy is really nice for poking down high-value targets and just kind of, having some fun. And of course, HOG is a great pick as well. He does have the Foot of Gork, I think, effigy of the Git. And this is huge because isolating, Star Dragons and big targets like that, and even Dragon Princes. I mean, Dragon Prince is one of the things that makes them so strong is their charge bonus of 80 and the fact that they can just absolutely smash Greenskin infantry. So if he can lock them down with that effigy of the Git, he'll definitely be in good shape. So for the High Elves, they do have a very cav-heavy build, which I like quite a bit. So, cav storms, like when you were playing Bretonia back in Warhammer 1, were really good against the Greenskins. You could just come in with the front line, Empire, Knights of the Blazing Sun, things like that. Or, for Bretonia, they could use the Grail Knights or, just essentially any cav with heavy shock values and just run down Greenskin infantry. It was so effective. So it looks like the High Elf player here is going to be doing the same thing. So 2 groups of Dragon Princes, 2 groups of the Silver Helms, front line of, I think he has a couple Spearmen mixed with the White Line. So when he invests that much in Dragon Princes, you can't have the best front line. But, Spearmen can hold their own. They do have very high melee defense, and White Lines are a very solid unit. They'll lose to Black Orcs, but they, will hold their own. So, and Tyrion is also a really good pick. I like him because the Sunfangs just roast lightly armored troops. So if they have like Rusty Arrows and Goblins in the back, you can do a ton of damage. On the front, you can see the High Elf player is going to be immediately just taking advantage of that shock damage, and Silver Helms have a pretty decent little charge bonus of 54, and they do have 90 armor, so there's not a huge risk of charging them into Orc Boys. So he does charge in the front line. The Dragon Princes are going to follow in suit, and he's going to get some heavy shock damage here on the Gobbo King. But it looks like on the other side, he took an absolute beating on those Silver Helms. So this Orc Boar Boy Biggins just going wild hogs. And that's like the worst movie ever, by the way. But going full wild hogs right here. And it looks like the Gobbo King is going to be using a Fist of Gork. So I thought this was definitely one of the more masterful plays of this replay. The Fist of Gork now imbues magic damage. So Dragon Princes, for those of you guys that don't know, have really big physical resist. And it's one of the things that makes them so tanky. So the Gobbo King, knowing this, does use the Fist of Gork, which imbues magic damage and then kind of circumvents the defensive stats of these Dragon Princes. So very well played. In the front line, you can see the fight is underway. The High Elf player is going to be pulling back here with the Silver Helms and Dragon Princes, and he did some massive damage to those Orc Boys, and he also did lure out an There We Go a little bit early from the Gobbo King, but the Gobbo King is going to be engaging with his Black Orcs and his Orc Boys here in the front line, and it's going to be a relatively even fight, especially if Tyrion is kind of lurking in the mix, and it looks like Tyrion is actually on foot. So I'm not sure. I guess kind of the perceived advantage of that is when you do have a Lord on foot like that, if they're getting charged by like an enemy Lord like Azag or, even the Pig Lord over here, Wurzog. If they get knocked back by the charge, they're not going to take like the full brunt of the damage, whereas if they're on their horse, they usually do take that full damage. So you can see the greenskin infantry here in the pits are going to be fighting against these white lines, and it's definitely going to favor the black orcs. And it looks like on the far side, an effigy of the Git going down. So very well played by the Gobbo King, getting that lockdown. And you can see over here the Savage Orc Piggins. Man, these guys, they have a really good charge bonus for infantry. It's actually 43, so they're just going to munch these guys. And you can see the Savage Orc Piggins just getting in there and just getting absolutely crunk, just dunking all over these Dragon Princes, which is great. And it looks like the rest of the heirs and these other troops are going to be sundering their armor as well. I think, yeah, they're down to 80 armor. So man, they just got crushed by those guys with effigy of the Git. Because effigy of the Git actually does magic damage on top of, Saring units, so it's going to be pretty good against Dragon Princes. Looks like the Hog Lord here in the back is going to be getting hunted by some of these Silver Helms, and he should be fine. Looks like the Gobbo King is going to be using his Morgrim's Mangey Marauders to lock those guys down. And in the mainline fight, the Black Orcs are doing very well, but Tyrion is kind of holding his own, but still, he's taking a lot of damage. I definitely think Tyrion should be kind of going... And again, it's tough when he's on foot because he's so immobile, you can't really have a choice as to where you want him on the battlefield. I definitely think, regardless of the disadvantage of taking a little bit more damage from charges, he needs to be on horseback. He's really fast, he could easily catch Warzog and just hunt him down, and, he might not be able to kill him, but he could at least pressure him. So the Heil player is able to get these white lines through the back line, get on these Gobbos, so definitely very good tacticianship there, hunting these guys down. These are a very high value target in this matchup. Looks like Gobbo King's going to be intercepting with some Savage Orcs, but the High Elf Cav is going to be coming in. So the Dragon Princes have gotten a regrowth, and man, they're just going to massacre these poor little Gobbos here, so that definitely sucks for them. Looks like the Hog Lord in the back is trying to secure his people, looking for an opportunity, and it looks like there is going to be a Foot of Gork coming in. So the High Elves are a little bit kind of pushing through, and the High Elf player definitely saw this coming, and he doesn't take pretty much any damage from that. If anything, I think a few of these Gobbos got crushed by that foot. You can see the massive footprint right there. And what is this? Is that a chariot over here? No, it's actually a Mage of Life getting run over by the Death's Creepers. So a very even battle. We're about 4 or 5 minutes into the game, and the balance of power is dead even. So both players, doing some really good damage to each other. Gobbo King with that great effigy, but the High Elf player is also keeping that pressure on very, very aggressively with his surviving Cav, but I'm not sure what he has left. I guess in the back line, he does have the Dragon Princes, and these guys are definitely running shop on some of these poor goblins. So man, definitely not fun. So let's go ahead and see what's going on. So the Pig Lord is going to be on the hunt, and he actually is pretty strong in his own right in melee. A charge bonus of 101 right now, so man, he's definitely going to do some massive damage against this mage. But it looks like all these Silver Helms are going to be assisting, although there's only 13 of them. And Hog Lord right here, actually, he doesn't have the highest weapon strength, but for a caster, he has 51 melee attack, and he also does have really good armor piercing value. So he's going to be charging into the back of these troops, definitely just going to be running to the support of these Black Orcs. He's not trying to pull anything fancy, but he actually does break these Spearmen here, so that's definitely some good stuff. And if the Hog Lord is able to kind of cycle charge Tyrion, who's on foot, can't really retaliate very effectively, he should be able to do some really good damage despite Tyrion's armor because he does have that really good AP. Let's actually look and see what it is. So the Hog Lord does have 325 base weapon strength with, I think, 240 of that being armor piercing. So I think that's actually more armor piercing damage than Tyrion has. So Tyrion has 480 overall, and if we look at his AP, it's actually, 260. Well, no, that was actually his regular damage. So I think it was like 115 or something like that. It's so hard to see, but a really good Sunfang going down from Tyrion, but we'll actually check at a later point in the battle. So Tyrion right here does pop the Faint and Riposte, which gives him 27 melee defense and a little bit of a physical resist. I think his melee attack is also improved, but he's really heavily surrounded by these Black Orcs who are just kind of teeing off on him, and he's really getting dragged down. Bounce of Power is still dead even in the back line. You can see the Gobbo King does have his skirmish units online, but the infantry battle seems to be going very well for the Greenskins. These Black Orcs are just so tough to kill. I don't really think the High Elves have enough infantry to really cut through them, although over here he does have a full health group of these white lines. Looks like the Gobbo King did use the FG of the Git to lock those guys down and actually did some pretty good damage. But you can see the High Elf player is going to be using the Earthblood right here to kind of peel those guys up. And this is just a very back and forth fight. You can see Hog Lord is kind of looking for an opportunity to get in and maybe do some cycle charging. But there are 21 Dragon Princes here, and that's a lot of presence. I mean, even though it's a very low model count, these are still a very powerful elite unit. They have lost their martial prowess. They're not going to be as strong as they were earlier in the game, but looks like these white lines are going to be coming in, and they do some decent damage against Black Orcs. So you can see the Gobbo King is going to pop the Fist of Gork here, which gives 26 melee attack and 27 melee defense. It's going to help them hold up against some of these white lines because one of the big weaknesses of Black Orcs is their melee defense. But when they have the augmentation from Fist of Gork, they're definitely going to be quite strong. So just a very tooth and nail fight here in the pits. Looks like Tyrion is still nearby. I think, Tyrion definitely looks really cool, and I know he definitely has some... I don't know if he has any with other factions from the old world, but I know when he fights Malekith, he has some really cool custom animations. But here in this case, I think he actually just killed a few spiders, and he's definitely going to be slaying... Did he just kill a Goblin Big Boss? Or I think that was just one of the Death's Creepers. I was like, did he just one-shot that guy? But the fight's actually turning a little bit, so I actually didn't think he would have a chance, the High Elf player, to kill these Black Orcs down here. But it looks like with the Mage and with Tyrion and these white lines, he's really kind of turning the tide of this battle. Over here, the Dragon Princes are on the hunt, and this is just battles all over the place. But it looks like there is a big healthy contingent of Black Orcs here, and it looks like the Gabo King's Warzog is going to be rallying these guys. And Warzog also does imbue nearby troops with his War Paint, which is going to give them 11% ward save. So if he can lead these Black Orcs into this pocket right here, I think he's going to have a very good chance of actually winning this infantry battle. So as far as troops left for the High Elves, looks like over here he does have 56 white lines. So man, a little bit of a mistake here chasing these guys off. I mean, granted, they are a pretty important target, but I think if he pulled these Dragon Princes, have them chase off these Gobos, and pull back these white lines, he really needs them in this battle right now, because this is going to be the battle to decide, this entire game. This is a very, very important point, because Tyrion doesn't have a mount right here, so he's not going to be able to get away if this battle is lost. Warzog could cycle charge him, he'll get surrounded by Black Orcs, so he really needs to win this battle. If he loses this, I definitely think that the Gabo King will indeed take the game. But it looks like those white lines are still chasing over here. Over on the far side, there are 9 Lothern Seaguard, who I think are pretty much just out of the picture. Looks like there is a group of Dragon Princes. I think how many are here? Yeah, about 13, 14, 15. They're going to be riding down some of these filthy Gabos. But, these Gabos are paying their dues. Definitely fighting for their liege, the Gabo King. Doing him proud, taking this beating. And again, every second the Gabos are kind of tying these guys up, it's another second these Black Orcs aren't getting rear charged. So it looks like the Foe Seeker and Stand Your Ground has been popped. Another little Sunfang coming in, and I feel like Sunfang doesn't do the best damage against Black Orcs, but at this point you really just got to use whatever you have. And the Black Orcs are still fighting. These ones are shaken, 26 models, but it looks like Effigy of the Get is going to be coming in, and the Hog Lord is wading through the ranks, and he's definitely going to be sniping this mage right now. You can see the mage is taking massive damage from the Hog Lord. What is that on his back? Have you guys ever seen that? What is that? Does he have like something in a cage right there? Is that like a goblin or something? Is that a head? I'm actually really... Is that like a mini squig? Hold on, guys. We have to... He has like... Is that like a what is that thing? Is that a squig? All right, sorry guys, that totally just tripped me out right there. But that FG of the Get doing some really good work against the mage. You can see she's taking damage. She's at negative 63 leadership, and she's going to break. And with her breaking, it looks like the rest of these High forces are going to be breaking right here. But it looks like are these guys still chasing those Gabos? Those white lines are still chasing those guys around. I definitely think that was going to be one of the bigger misplays of the game. But the Gabo King doing some really good isolation here with Warzog and taking out that mage. So very well played. Kind of one of the traditional metagames you see, against the High Elves, they're very weak against Lord of Death. So Fate of Unit can be devastating against Dragon Princes. You can see Tyrion is so mad. He's trying to chase this Wild Hog right here, and I don't think he's going to be able to catch him. But yeah, Lord of Death is really good. So typically you see Azag, but Azag is also risky against high magic with Tempest. But I really like that the Gabo King is kind of mixing things up a little bit here with Warzog, and using the FG of the Get and the Big Wad to do his dirty work. So the bounce power is finally starting to shift in the favor of the Gabo King. A very close game. Definitely could have gone either way. Looks like these white lines are going to be chasing down these archers in the back line. So we'll fast forward a little bit as there is some chasing here. But you can see that Tyrion is going to be popping feint and riposte. But like I said, once he lost that supporting army, he really doesn't have much to do. He doesn't have the mobility to chase or pressure other units. And it looks like Hoglord is going to be, getting in there with that nice little charge bonus. But the white lines are coming back. So the Gabo King is going to be charging in here with these Death's Creepers. I really like this tactic, kind of charging in against these guys, keeping them from getting to their Lord. Because Tyrion probably does have the Heart of Averlorn. I think he does, so he could potentially heal up fairly well. So you can see he's very low, and it looks like the heart does proc. So you guys can see he gets healed for about 900 HP there. So every second he's able to delay these white lines from coming in is going to be huge. And it looks like the balance of power is tilting back in the favor of the High Elves, but it looks like the FG of the Get is going to do some pretty good magic damage to Tyrion. He's very low, and the Hog Lord is coming in. So man, just what a close game. Very well played to both players. Looks like Dragon Princes and White Lines are coming in, but they might get hit with army losses. I think that Warzog is a little bit too tanky, and he does have that good AP and physical resist that he's imbuing these Black Orcs with. And you can see, what is their physical resist now? I don't think they have any base, but it looks like they do have that 11% right there. But yeah, at this point, the High Elves are pretty much going to be done for. Looks like some Lothern Seaguard do come back, but very well played to both players. That was an incredible game. So for the Gabo King's army, I really liked it. The Black Orcs, personally, when I play the Greenskins, he diversified a little bit from the build I like, but I like a couple Black Orcs. I probably use a little bit more Orc Boy action, but he really made good use of these Savage Orc Bacons. That's something I never would have used myself, but he really made it work and made it his own. And Warzog, with the FG of the Get, was just an MVP. He locked down Dragon Princes, got some great kills. He was able to isolate the caster with it, and then ultimately finish off Tyrion with it in a very close fight. But yeah, I like the build quite a bit. It was definitely awesome. And so for Mixa, I like his army. Tyrion's a pretty good choice. The what is it called? The Sunfang, the Roaster of Goblins, is really good against the Rusty Airs. But I think one of the big critical mistakes he made was having Tyrion on the ground, or well, on foot, I should say. He wasn't able to really counter Warzog. He kind of just had to stay there and fight. And he was stuck fighting Black Orcs the entire game. And he has really poor AP values. So that's not really going to be an environment in which he shines. And putting him on foot, you don't really get to dictate where you want him to be as well. But Spearman I liked. The Spearmen were decent filler with the white lines of Crace. How do you even say that? Is it Crace or Trace? I don't even know. But his front line put up a pretty good fight. He did invest very heavily in the Cav, and he was pretty effective with his Dragon Princes. A little bit rough with his Silver Helms. I think if he had been a little bit more patient in the beginning and just kind of waited it out, pressured the flanks a little bit after the Dragon Princes got in there, I think it could have been a little bit of a safer engagement. So very well played to the Gabo King as well as Mixa. And guys, make sure to go check out the Gabo King over on his YouTube channel. He's a very awesome player as well as commentator, and he puts out a lot of good stuff. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this content. And guys, we got a lot more goodies coming soon.